Hello everyone, my name is EVOO and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. We are back in the kitchen and today folks, we're going to make some homemade ravioli. And today they will be meat ravioli. And for those of you who don't know, about 3 years ago, I shared my recipe for my cheese ravioli. I will put a link in the description for you because those are my favorite. But the meat ravioli are also absolutely delicious. I'd like to share my recipe with you. We're going to make it all from scratch. Let's get started right now. Let's fire up our stove. And here I have 6 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And to that, we are going to add 2 cloves of minced garlic. So in goes our minced garlic. 2 cloves of minced garlic. We're just going to saute these for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds just to flavor our extra virgin olive oil. Okay, and that is the sizzle that we're looking for right there. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to make meat ravioli, but what we're doing now is we are going to complement the meat with some beautiful condiments here. So we started with the garlic. Next, I have 1 celery rib that has been diced. So in goes the celery rib. Yes, we are going to build some amazing flavor for our meat ravioli. This is going to be absolutely delicious. Okay, to the celery, we're going to add 1 carrot that has been diced as well. So in goes 1 carrot, 1 medium-sized carrot. Okay, and to that, I have 1 bell pepper, which we have also diced. So in goes the bell pepper, which is sweet, of course. And we cannot forget the onion. I have here 1 medium/large onion. As you can see, it's about 1 1/4 cups, 1 heaping cup of diced onion. I like to slice it thin and then dice it. So in goes our onion. And next we're going to add 1 cup of diced mushrooms. I'm using cremini mushrooms, but just the plain white mushrooms are fine. 1 cup of diced mushrooms. Alrighty, so we are going to cook this down. And I have 1 more special ingredient we're going to add, but we're going to add it later. We're going to cook this down first. So let's continue to saute this until everything becomes nice and soft and well cooked. It's going to take at least 10 minutes on medium heat. I have actually let it saute for 15 minutes just to get things nice and soft. And so to this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So let's get that. That's some nice, very nice concentrated flavor right there with that tomato paste, folks. Okay, so let's get that all mixed in and spread out nicely. Alrighty, and we have that 1 more ingredient to add that I mentioned earlier. And that, folks, is spinach. So I have here 5 ounces, which is about 140 grams of chopped spinach. So in it goes, and again, we're going to mix everything. This spinach is going to cook down, and we're going to want to continue to cook this for about 5 more minutes. And then our condiments will be ready for the meat. It's been about 2 minutes, so at this point, if you want, you could add a little bit of salt to taste, just a bit. And keep in mind, we are going to add some salt to our meat as well. Okay, we have about another 3 minutes to go here, but you can see the spinach is already cooked down very, very nicely. And now it is time for the king of our show, our meat. Now, this just isn't any meat. This is ground beef, ground pork, and ground veal. It's what I call my triple mix. And this is the classic, the absolute classic for the meat ravioli. So if you can't get a mix of all 3, you can simply use plain old ground beef. but this is much better, more enhanced flavor, and that's what we're after, folks. We want to make the absolute best meat raviolis, and we're off to a great start right here. So what I'm going to do, we have to incorporate this, break it all up, get it all mixed in, and we're going to continue to saute until the ground beef is completely cooked, or ground beef, pork, and veal is completely cooked. Okay. There we go. That's looking really good. Now, as I mentioned, now would be the time to salt it. General rule of thumb, I like to use about a half a teaspoon of salt for every pound of meat. So that's half a teaspoon for every 450 grams, roughly. But you can add your salt to taste, and this is the time to do it. Add it in and get it all mixed around. And we're going to continue to saute and cook up this ground meat. There we go. Our ground meat has cooked up very nicely. We can shut our stove down, and I have been on medium heat for all that time. So now this has to cool completely. So we're going to take it off the heat, and we're going to let it cool 100% to room temp. But in the meanwhile, let's get our dough started. Actually, before we make our dough, we can't really move forward unless we try this beautiful meat mixture that we so nicely enhanced. Oh my goodness. The flavor is absolutely unbelievable. You would want to just eat it just like that. But we're not going to do that. It's going to make a fantastic filling for our raviolis. Okay, now I'm going to show you how easy it is to make the dough. Making homemade pasta dough is really simple. And how much do you use? Well, for each person that you're cooking for, you use 100 grams of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, and 1 egg. That's it. So if you're cooking for 4 people, just multiply all those numbers by 4 as an example. Now today, we're not cooking for a specific number of people, but I want to make enough dough, pasta dough, at least to make a lot of raviolis, let's say. So I'm going to start off with 900 grams of flour. So you could do the math based on what I said earlier. 900 grams of flour, which is about 2 pounds. And the key now is you could use all-purpose flour. Your pasta will come good. Your dough will come good. But what I found is a mix of 00 flour and Semola flour makes for the absolute best pasta dough. So, having said that, I have 450 grams of white 00 flour, which is about 10% protein. And then I have 450 grams of Semola flour, which is basically semolina that's been reground to a finer grind. And this is over 14%. So we're going to be in that 12% range for protein, which makes for a great consistency for the homemade pasta. So, based on our recipe, I have here 2 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Okay, so we have our flour, we have our salt. Let's mix them both together. There we go, and you'll be able to tell when it's mixed nicely because the Semola flour is on the yellow side compared to the white 00. Okay, that's mixed nicely. So, in keeping with our recipe, 900 grams of total flour, I just cracked 9 eggs. So I have 9 eggs here. And again, keeping with our recipe, we are going to add 9 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to get that added to the egg. And now we can mix that all together. And once the egg is all mixed, we come back to our flour, just make a little well in the middle. Take our egg and olive oil mixture and scrape it all, get it all in there. Okay. There we go. And now I just like to use a spatula and slowly work the flour in and start to mix it in with our egg mixture. Now, I like to also, as you notice, use a bowl. You could do this on your countertop, but I find it's much neater and easier to start in a bowl, and then I will move to the countertop, of course, for the mixing and kneading. So right now we're just mixing it all together. Okay, once I've made my way to the outside, continue mixing, and then we're going to start to form a dough. All right, let's get it going on the countertop here. There we go. Alrighty. So now I just like to bring it all together. Just kind of squeeze it all together to start to get a dough ball kind of formed. And it's going to be a little bit sticky at this point, but not to worry. And you can also see there's a lot of dry flour here. Again, not to worry. Just keep working it, and we're going to pick all that flour up and work it into this dough. It might seem like it's a little bit dry. Don't be fooled, okay? We've got the recipe. It's going to all come together. So I'm going to just keep working this. You can see it's all dry and crumbly. Don't worry. Just keep working it, and what will happen is the egg and the flour will eventually, the egg will start to absorb all that flour. So it's going to come together nicely. As you can see, it's starting to come together. And in case I didn't mention it, those were large eggs that I used. You do not want to use medium. You want to use at least large. You could use extra large if you want as well, but large is what I typically use. Okay, so we have basically most of it picked up here, as you can see, but I want you to see the dough. Look at how, let's say it's dry and kind of crumbly. So you might start to worry, oh no, this isn't going to come together, but it will. So at this point, what you're going to want to do is continue to knead this for at least 10 minutes. And as you do that, again, the egg is going to absorb the flour and it's going to start to form a really nice dough. It's been 10 minutes and look at that beautiful dough. Isn't that much nicer? Like I told you, don't worry, it'll all come together. So this is actually enough to feed 9 people. This pasta dough, if you wanted, you could make spaghetti, fettuccine, lasagna noodles, whatever you wanted with this beautiful egg dough pasta dough. So what we got to do now is this dough needs to relax. The glutens need to relax. So we're going to completely cover it in plastic. If you have plastic wrap, tightly cover it. And it has to now sit for 30 minutes up to 60 minutes. 30 minutes is enough to let the glutens to relax. And the reason you want it wrapped in plastic is so that the moisture doesn't evaporate and you don't start to get a hard skin on the outside and making the dough harder to handle. So if you don't have plastic wrap, you could also cover it in a damp kitchen towel. Okay, so if you need to let it to sit for longer than an hour, then the refrigerator is your friend. Okay, so let's let this sit at least 30 minutes. It's now time to have some fun. Our dough's been sitting, patiently waiting. I ended up putting our meat mixture in the refrigerator so it's nice and cold and ready to go. I've got my pasta machine here. We're going to start cranking and rolling, but you don't need a pasta machine. A roller is all you need, but it's just a lot easier with the machine. So come on over, come take a closer look, and let's start stuffing these raviolis. First thing I want to do is after we make the raviolis, we're going to put them on this sheet pan. And what I like to do is take some, in this case, semolina flour, and just sprinkle it onto our sheet pan, just so our raviolis don't stick. Okay, so that's pretty good. That can now go here. So let's cut a piece of our beautiful pasta dough. Isn't that nice? Okay, and basically I've got it on the widest setting here. We're going to pass it through the widest setting. And as you can see, there's kind of like a roundish. I want it as square as possible. So what I'll do is I'll just fold that over and pass it through again. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to take shape. So let's do it one more time. Move it to the next rung. Pass it through. And again, I see a little bit of a round there, and that's fine. That little bit's okay. We're going to keep working it. Next rung. Pass it through. And then I'm going to go to the third from the last rung. That's about as thin as I want it. In fact, I'll leave it at that rung. I'll just pass it through one more time. Okay, so this pasta dough is a little bit thicker, let's say, than normal. I'm going to just give it a little fold in half so I have a fold line there. And now, quite simply, take a teaspoon of our beautiful filling. I'm still thinking about that taste test. My goodness, it was so good. It's a little bit thinner here, so I'll go a little smaller. And then maybe one more here on the end. Okay, you don't want to overfill, because then what happens is they get harder to fold and they won't close. So let's just even that out a bit. Okay, these are not big raviolis. These are going to be small. Okay, so now I have a little bit of water. With a little bit of water, I'm going to go all around our meat, our filling. Okay, that way the dough is going to stick. I'm going to fold it over and then just press down between the meat and then just press out all the air. Get the air out of the ravioli. So just kind of work your way and move all the air out. There we go. And now with our little pasta cutter, I'm going to cut one edge, cut right up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. And then I can finish cutting the other edge. I like to make just a slight round. So start and go around. You can do anything you like, but I like to do that. It adds a little bit of character to the ravioli. And they're all going to be different sizes, right? And that's great because it proves that they're made by hand. So this one is going to be cut a little differently, almost like a quarter moon shape there. Okay, and now with a fork, the areas where we cut with that pasta cutter, I'm just going to push down with a fork, and this makes a good seal. So work your way all the way around the ravioli. Okay, right? And you have yourself a nice seal. And then from there, we can place it onto our sheet pan with the Semola, or Semolina flour in that case. There we go. Our second one is done. So I'm going to continue to do this until all that dough is done. And I'm going to show you here. Let's do this last one. Okay, just push right down. And like I say, I'm third from the last setting here, which makes this a little bit thicker. And that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's put that one there. There we go. So now with this dough, what I'll do is I just squeeze it all together. And I will keep adding to it. Every time I make more ravioli, whatever the excess is, I'll add to it and squeeze it all together. I'll keep it moist in the plastic. And then that way when I'm done, I can use that leftover dough. So let me continue. I will continue working this dough and making those raviolis. Go back to the widest spot. You got to remember to go back to the wide setting again. And again, I can see that. I'll just do it there. Set it through. In fact, a little piece of spinach there from our meat. In fact, you see how wide it is? That's ideally, if you can get it that wide, it makes it easier when you make the fold, right? So let's go to the next one. Same thing, folks, right? And that's the third from the last. And then I'll just pass it through one more time. It's the same third from the last setting. There you go. And you could see now, if I would have, I still can, I can fold that over, right, to get rid of that round, move it back a notch, and pass it through again. So working whoops, working with this dough is very, very easy. So you see I have it more of a square now. I'll go back to my third from the end setting. It's sticking, so I might have to put a little bit of flour on this. If it is sticking, you can simply take a little bit of flour, sprinkle a little bit of that semolina flour onto the dough, and then when you put it through, it won't stick. There you go. Okay, so it looks like I can probably make another 4 raviolis with this as well. All right, so I'm going to continue making these raviolis until I use up all that dough. In fact, let's just show you one more time as I do these next 4. All right, water. Okay, fold it over. Push out the air in between them. And then push the air out completely. Okay. There we go. A little bit of air there. And there. There we go. Okay, pasta cutter. A little bit. Okay, and let's cut our way around. See the excess here? We're going to save that, as I mentioned. And we will reuse that. Let's go around and around. Okay, we take that excess dough, go back to our other dough, squeeze it all together. Okay, and then with the fork. So I think you got the idea. I'm going to continue doing this until all that dough is used up. As you can see, I now have 2 trays filled. I've got about 38 total ravioli that I've made so far. And I'd like to say at this point, you now have 2 options. You can cook the ravioli right now, take them from fresh and cook them, or you can take these trays and put them right in the freezer and freeze them. They freeze up very, very nicely, and then you can cook them from frozen. Either way, cooked from fresh or cooked from frozen, they cook the same. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 2 trays right now in the freezer so that I could show you how to cook them from frozen. In the meanwhile, I still have more dough to process, plus I have that extra dough, that all the leftovers that I've been accumulating, I have that to process as well. And furthermore, I have plenty of meat filling still yet to go. So I figure I probably have enough dough here to make at least another 10 to 12 or so ravioli. So I'm going to right now take these 2 trays, put them in the freezer, come back and finish processing the rest of this dough and freeze the rest of the raviolis. And then tomorrow, folks, we're going to cook them up and do the taste test. So here we are the next day, and I was able to get 15 more raviolis made with that little bit of dough I had left and the amount of ground meat. Having said that, I've now saved that ground meat and I've put it in the sauce. So I've made a ragu sauce with that to go with the ravioli that I'm going to taste test today. So these are all frozen, and I'm just going to drop them into freezer bags. And you see with the little bit of semolina on the bottom, how easy these just come right off. And because they're frozen individually, sometimes they come right off. Because they're frozen individually, you can freeze them here and then take out just what you need. So I'm going to get a couple bags going here. Okay. And if I was going to be freezing them for the long term, I would use a vacuum bag because a vacuum seal helps keep these fresher for longer. But for now, I know that I'm having these for a dinner party coming up soon, so I'm just going to put them in this freezer bag. And in the freezer, I'm going to get these frozen, and I think I'll save 10, and we'll make our way over to the stove. So we've got our water boiling, And I already added salt, and remember, 1 tablespoon of salt for 4 liters, or 2 tablespoons of salt if you want it salty like the ocean. Okay, so I decided to go with 12 instead of 10. So we're going to cook these right from frozen. Okay, so the thing is, whether you cook these fresh or from frozen, the cooking time is the same. Once they come to the surface, then at that point you're going to want to let them cook for an additional 6 to 8 minutes, because the filling is already cooked. It's the pasta that has to cook, right? So we'll start our 6 to 8 minutes once it comes back to a boil. We'll just give it a little stir, and then I'm going to put the lid back on so it comes back to a boil quicker. And meanwhile, let's take a look at our beautiful sauce that I made, our ragu sauce with that leftover meat. Look at this. Oh my goodness. This sauce, I did a little taste test, of course. It is absolutely delicious. Okay, like I say, I could have made probably another 30 more raviolis if I would have made some more dough, but this was a great second choice. Okay, we're starting to come to a boil. Let it get up to a good boil, and then we'll start the timer going once they come to the float to the top. And you can see one has already started. And there are more coming here. So once they all float, we'll start a timer going. And you can test them by just taking a little corner of a ravioli and bite into it. But usually, if you let it go 7 minutes after they come to the top and they're boiling, that's typically okay. All right, and I'm going to get that timer going real soon. Okay, they are all floating, so the timer has now started, and I'm setting it for 7 minutes. Our 7-minute timer just went off. So let's just see. Let me get one here. I'm just going to do a little test, because remember, we did go a little thicker with our pasta dough, right? We went to the 3rd rung from the back. So let's see what we have here. A little taste test. It's cooked. It's al dente. For me, that's really good. I'm going to let it go the entire 8 minutes though. I know Laura prefers a little bit more well done. So we're going to let it go the entire 8 minutes. It is now time. So let's remove these beautiful raviolis. Okay, let them drain a bit. Oh, this is looking really, really good. And off goes the stove. And one more. Isn't that nice? It's a beautiful sight. I love it. Okay. All right, let's go get these plated now with some of that beautiful sauce. Let's get them plated. All right. Oh, the sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of sauce on the bottom first, and then we'll add some of our ravioli. Maybe a little more sauce. Looking good, looking good. There's plenty of sauce. I could also serve it separately as well. I like lots of sauce on my ravioli, because then afterwards, with a fresh piece of homemade bread, you can do the scarpetta. Okay. And folks, there we have it. Oh yeah, taste test ready. Right there. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's do our taste test. Yes, the taste test. And yes, I am looking so much forward to this. A little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano, the real stuff, not the Parmesan cheese. This is Parmigiano Reggiano. There we have it. That is one nice looking ravioli right there. Hey, the taste test. I'm going to cut it right up the middle. Right up the middle. And then up the middle again. So I get 4 pieces, all with a little bit of that nice meat filling. Okay. I don't know what's better, the ravioli or the sauce. Oh my goodness, what a combination. But the ravioli, the pasta, the dough, is cooked very, very nicely. And keep in mind, if you make your pasta thinner, 6-7 minutes is better. But because mine was thicker, 8 minutes was the ticket. But the taste of the pasta, with those 2 different flours we used, that filling is absolutely delicious. How rewarding is this? Making your own homemade ravioli from scratch and then cooking it up and taking a minute or two to enjoy it. It doesn't get much better than this. Oh my. I know it's missing. Can you guess? You guessed it. A little bit of chili pepper on there. It'll be absolutely dynamite. Folks, wherever you're tuning in from, I want to say thank you for spending time in the kitchen with me on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And it was a little bit of effort, but I really hope you give this recipe a try. You can make a bunch, put them in the freezer, and have them, a few times for a few different meals. It's worth the effort. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, folks, until next time, buon appetito. Oh yeah. Mmm.